Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'm playing around with a very colorful ladder and a Stabilo pencil, which thankfully allowed me quite a few do-overs because I attempted to draw something that, well, let's say didn't quite go as planned, and I left it all in there so you can join me for a chuckle because I'm certainly laughing at myself with this little drawing adventure I took myself on. Well, enough of my talking, come take a look. So I'm playing around on a jelly print. This was done with some iridescent metallic paint, so it has a lot of shimmer and shine to it, which will become quite handy in a little while, but that'll make more sense a little bit later. I'm going to put on this one of my new stencils called Ladders. Now ladders there are 3 ladders on the stencil that you cut apart, and the question is this a stencil or is this a mask? I don't get too hung up on the terminology. I just know what I want it to do. Now I am positioning this because I want it to be on a super colorful part of the page, and then I am going to put white paint all around it. So I am just going to go and stencil around it, pouncing up and down, holding the ladder in place. I could put some repositionable tape there to hold it in place, but I'm just as happy using my hand today. Now the white paint that I'm using is pretty much kind of a matte. It's not very shiny at all. It's not very glossy. But the iridescent paint that's underneath it has that metallic look. So when I'm all done, I'm going to have this contrast between the more matte finish of the white and the metallic shimmer and shine that comes from what's underneath. And I always think of climbing out of things, climbing up, climbing higher. So I'm creating sort of a black pit here that I'm going to have someone climbing out of. Now drawing this pit here, this was the easy part. The hard part's going to come when I actually try and draw the person coming out of it. Before I do that though, I want to sort of push back some of that metallic, and so I'm just bringing in some of the white paint to kind of push that back. Well, now it's time to draw someone coming out of the sort of the darkness, the big black pit, pulling themselves up. And I'm going to do 2 arms grabbing rungs on the ladder. So to help me understand exactly what a knuckle would look like when it's on there, I'm going to grab just something that I have to kind of get an idea of what a hand would look like if it was grabbing. So basically you just got some knuckles pointing up there is about all you can see. So that makes it pretty easy to draw. And then I'm going to draw the other arm. And I'm feeling all confident about this because it's just 2 arms, right? Yeah, okay, this is about to get very entertaining. I'm laughing at myself, so feel free to join in the laugh. These 2 arms look completely like legs to me. I'm not seeing arms in any way, shape, or form. But there's no reason for me to panic because I get all sorts of do-overs because of that Stabilo pencil. Because it's water soluble. So if I hit it with water, I can basically erase it. Now this does work on a painted surface. If I was working on just plain old paper, it would absorb in. But since everything here is painted, it's basically sealed so that I can kind of wipe stuff off and erase and pull things off. And I gotta tell you, as arms go, these 2 are not working as arms. Maybe they'd work really well as legs, but that would make somebody diving into the pit, and I really want to have them climbing out of the pit. So I'm gonna try again. As I do it this time, I decide I want to put some elbow in there. And notice the size of the elbow on this second arm. Well, clearly these arms belong to 2 very different people. And that's kind of strange, so yeah, back to the drawing board on this again. So I'm still excited about the concept of an elbow. Very proud of myself that I realized arms have elbows, and that will help it look more like an arm and less like a leg. Keep messing with this, and again, I have that whole problem of arms that belong to just 2 different people. But it's okay, I just erase and I keep going. I've got my little knuckles there on top of that hand. I'm pretty happy with the hand on the left, I think. Now by this point, I'm finding it absolutely comical that I'm having so much trouble with just 2 arms, but I'm not giving up on it. I am going to keep right on going. Now I decided that I'd wanted them to be grabbing onto some of the rungs, but all of a sudden that plan's about to change as I draw a very long hand there. And I decide I think I want them just reaching. They're maybe not actually going to have their hands on the rungs. I'm just going to go ahead and give them fingers and a thumb even. And having done this with Stabilo pencil, it's basically going to turn into kind of a watercolor feel once I hit it with some water, which is going to totally take care of the shading for me and frankly make it, well, hide some of the imperfections in this. So just a little bit of water on a very small brush, and all of a sudden I've got my two hands climbing, pulling up this very colorful ladder. And I'm super thrilled now that by putting actual open hands on them, they no longer look like legs. Well, now it's time to add some words to this. I've got a phrase that I want to put on here, and I've got these adhesive scrapbooking letters that I want to use. And I was like going to do the whole phrase in these. It was going to be great. And then I realized after I got the first word on here, there was no way this entire phrase was going to fit using these letters. Well, that's an oops. But in every oops, there is an opportunity, and that's what happened here. You're going to see as I do this, I'm only going to put some of the words in the letters, or in the adhesive letters, and then some of the words I'm going to write in by hand. Now, you may think, Carolyn, those aren't lined up very carefully here. You're kind of just throwing them on there hodgepodge willy-nilly, and that's true. And notice I'm not pushing them down because I don't know exactly where I want to position them, so I want them to be able to move around on me. If I push them down, well, they're sticky on the back. They'll be much harder to move around. So I'm going to get the letters on there, and then I'm going to see if I can get the spacing right. Of course, the word darkness is way wider than what I really want it to take up in terms of space, but you know what? I'm just going to have to deal with that. So as I get these letters positioned, then something very scary is going to have to happen for me. And, you know, sometimes my muse sort of pushes me in new ways, and this one is one of those things. I do my very best to avoid using my own handwriting in titles for things. I really don't like it, and today is one of those days where my muse is telling me to get over it. So I'm bringing in that Stabilo pencil, so yes, I get a do-over if I really don't like it. And I am going to put some of the words in between the stickers. And that'll end up filling out the sentence phrase, whatever we want to call this. But since I was a school teacher and it doesn't have a capital letter and an end mark, I can't call it a sentence. While I'm fiddling around with these letters, I have a favor to ask. I'd really appreciate it if you're enjoying this video if you give it a thumbs up or a like. And if you know of somebody that you think would enjoy this video, I'd love it if you'd share it with them. And of course, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, you know I'd love it if you click that button and join me. That way you know every time I've got a new video coming out. Well, I've got my handwriting on there, but you can't really see it. So I'm going to make it pop because I did it with that Stabilo pencil. If I hit it with just a little bit of water, it's going to make that black sort of spread and pop. Of course, if it does it too much because I used too big a brush and too much water, all I did was hit that with the Kleenex. So total do-overs with this thing. Now I've got a much, much finer brush, so I can make those words pop out. So what is the phrase that I've got on there? It's color is the ladder that helps me climb out of the darkness. And that really represents for me what art does for my soul. Anytime that I'm not in a great mood, if I just start playing with colors and paint and let myself just play, all of a sudden the things that were bothering me or the darkness gets to be a whole lot more manageable, a whole lot lighter. A rainbow of color really does make me happy. Well, now it's time to push those letters down and make that commitment. So when I've got them where I want them, I'm just going to flatten them down. That way they stick. Sometimes they don't stick as well as I want. If that ever happens, a little bit of gel medium makes them stay exactly where I want. Now these letters have a canvas or fabric on top of them, so they're designed to take a little color. Say you want to hit them with spray inks and mist them, that kind of thing. Well, I didn't want to hit them with spray inks because I just want them to look black to match the other words that I have on here. So that's that Stabilo pencil again. I just draw on it and then hit it with a little bit of water and it fills in those letters, makes them pop. Well, thanks for joining me for today's play. If you've enjoyed this and would like some more fun and play, head on over to my blog at acolorfuljourney.com where you can find all sorts of blog posts and things to explore on the website, including my free newsletter with downloadable goodies. Thank you for being a part of this colorful journey.